that, we'll have a quorum. Can you do introduction of staff, please?
Yep. Hello, everyone. My name is Jessie Lindenberg, and I'm the hearing officer tonight. To my left is Jamie Fensky, another planner in our office. To her left is Mark, our IT specialist. And down at the other end, we have Mr. Fred Townsend, the board's attorney.
Thank you. At this time, everyone please stand for Pledge of Allegiance. Any additions or alterations to tonight's agenda?
No, sir.
Thank you. Public hearing introduction.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jessie Lindenberg, and I will preside as the hearing officer for tonight's public hearing. This hearing is being conducted for the purpose of providing the citizens of the county an opportunity to present testimony on these applications before the Kent County Board of Adjustment. Everyone will have an opportunity to speak. This will provide those who wish an opportunity to give their testimony. If there is a group of interested citizens in favor or opposed to any of the applications, they may wish to elect one spokesperson among them to present testimony to the board. There is an official recording of these proceedings being made. Therefore, we ask that only one person speak at a time and that they speak clearly. Furthermore, there shall be no cross-examination of witnesses permitted during the public hearing, but the board can ask the applicant questions after any opposition if necessary. As a courtesy to other participants in this hearing, a maximum of 5 minutes will be allotted to any person who wishes to provide testimony. The chairperson of the board has the discretion to allow additional time if deemed to be necessary. To make statements when your application is called, and for the record, please give your name, address, and allow our attorney to swear you in prior to providing testimony. Copies of any written statements or exhibits used during the hearing should be presented for identification so that they may be included in the permanent record. The procedure on each variance application will be as follows. The legal notice will be read on each case prior to the receipt of testimony. There will be a brief explanation of the application by the staff. The board will then receive testimony from all of those in favor of the application, followed by testimony of those who may be opposed. Once those persons in favor and those in opposition have had an opportunity to speak, the hearing on that application will be declared closed. Decisions on all applications heard this evening will be made by the board during the business meeting following the public hearing. However, you are not required to remain after the public hearing once your request has been heard and closed. During the business meeting, the board will consider all information of record. A common vote of 4 members of the board shall be required to make a decision on each application. If you do not wish to wait for the business meeting later this evening, you may call the Kent County Planning Department tomorrow between 8 a.m. and 5 p.m. at 744-2471 to learn of the board's ruling. All applicants will receive written notification of the board's decision. This notice may not be mailed until after the next scheduled meeting, but if approved, you are welcome to apply for any necessary permits prior to receiving this by mail. Please keep this decision in your records for both you and all future property owners. The public notice of this evening's hearing was published on March 30th, 2025 in the Delaware State News. In addition, all of the subject properties were posted with a sign prior to the hearing to further notify the public of the nature of the applications. Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, we'll have a statement by counsel. Mr. Townsend.
Thank you, Mr. Cusick. The test for the granting of area variances is set forth by the Delaware Supreme Court in the case known as Board of Adjustment versus Quick Check Realty. The legal standard for area variances considers whether a literal interpretation of zoning regulations results in exceptional practical difficulties of ownership. And to determine whether the exceptional practical difficulty test is met, the board must consider the following 4 factors. First, the nature of the zone where the property lies. Second, the character and uses of the immediate vicinity. Third, whether removal of the restriction on the applicant's property would seriously affect neighboring properties. And fourth, whether failure to remove the restrictions would create exceptional practical difficulty for the owner in relation to the owner's efforts to make normal improvements to the property. This factor is met only when the difficulties alleged by the owner are practical rather than theoretical and exceptional rather than routine. The inability to improve one's business may qualify as an exceptional practical difficulty. And also this consideration is where the board asks whether the applicant is seeking more relief than is minimally necessary to relieve the asserted difficulty. In general, the board's not permitted to consider factors other than those four listed. Therefore, those speaking both in support of and in opposition to applications are urged to present only information bearing directly on the nature of the zoning district, the characteristics of the area, whether the requested variances would seriously affect neighboring properties, and lastly, whether applicants are confronted with challenges rising to the level of exceptional practical difficulties. In particular, the presenters are instructed to exclude from their presentations any discussion of personal disputes or acrimony between the applicant and neighboring property owners, as the board is not authorized to resolve those disputes. Mr. Cusick?
Thank you. We'll begin public hearing now.
All right, our first application tonight is A2512 for Richard and Kimberly Nicholas. They seek a variance from the requirement that an accessory structure be located 5 feet from the side property line to legalize an existing accessory structure. The property is located on the west side of the intersection of Hunting Quarter Road and Thistlewood Road, southeast of Harrington. Levy Court District is the 4th, zoning district is AR. Here in the exhibit, you can see there's a lean-to that is approximately, well, it's 3 feet 9 inches from the property line down there on the right-hand corner. And it is angled towards the property line, so it does meet up on the left-hand side. But they're seeking the variance for that 3 foot 9 inches. This is the roadway, the other direction. This is the driveway of the property. Further up the drive, this is looking at the structure from the driveway, closer to the structure to see where the property line is, and then further out. The aerial, further out. Sir, if you'd like to come up to one of the podiums, please state your name, your address, and allow our attorney to swear you in.
Name's Richard Nicholas Jr., 2449 Hunting Quarter Road in Houston, Delaware, 19954.
Mr. Nicholas, do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give in this proceeding will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
You may proceed.
So I'm asking for a variance. I guess I got my lean-to a little bit too close. I live in a very heavily wooded area. The lean-to was an afterthought after the building was up, and a bunch of trees fell across the property. If you notice, it's back 4 foot, and I said that would be enough to meet the setback. So I guess I was off a little bit. I had to cut all the trees down. If you can see by the one of the other pictures that showed, I had to, yeah, that one. Well, there was all trees, and if you go from that point, you can see the back corner of my property. There's a pin back there.
Sir, you can point, if you'd like, on the screen, and it'll show up.
You can't see it on this picture, but there's a stake you can actually see from back there. But there was a big jack pine deadfall, and the crown was right across the property line. So I just took a guess, and I guess I was wrong. So my neighbor, I talked to him about it. He said it's not on his property. He doesn't care. You know, I don't know. So now I'm asking for a variance because I need to get a permit and have this thing finalized. So we'll see where it goes tonight. I applied for the permit, but then this came up. So, any questions?
So, okay. So you're going after the fact, after it's built, you're going in for the permit now, correct?
Well, I applied for the permit, but then they said, oh, your building's too close to the property line from, I guess, an aerial view or whatever. So then I went and cut all the trees down and remeasured it, and I said, oh, I am. So that's why I applied for variance.
So you built the lean-to before the permit, is that correct?
That is correct. I built a shop first, and then I afterthought was, oh, look, I'll build a lean-to for a little more room, and I got it wrong.
Was it the same time you're building the shop, or was this after?
It was like a year later.
Gotcha. Any other questions? Go ahead.
Yeah, what is the construction of the lean-to? Does it have a floor? Is it a dirt floor?
No, it's concrete floor now. Originally, it was dirt. Wood framed. The main building's 30 wide, raised core truss. Then there's the lean-to's 8 foot wide. 2x6 rafters, there's uninsulated, just a workshop.
You access it from inside the larger part of the building?
The whole wall, I took the steel off the side wall and just moved it out, so the whole inside is accessible. You can see right through into the lean-to. My wife says I have too much junk.
So it's pretty much just an expansion of like a workshop area.
It is, I'm hoping to retire soon, and it was going to be my play shop. I built the building, you can drive right through it, because I work on a lot of equipment just for myself. You know, been a mechanic my whole life, so maybe one day I'll get to put a car lift in it, do a rat rod or something, but that's what my plan is. The lean-to is just for part storage or whatever.
Any other questions? I had one just.
I have one more. What is the exceptional hardship about just removing it?
Wouldn't be that easy. The exterior wall of the lean-to is the structure that supports its poles, and it supports the rafters, so it would be difficult.
Does it support the main structure?
No, the original structure is self-supported. This lean-to is also self-supported. I mean, it wouldn't be like I could just cut a piece off of it. I'd have to take the whole section out, because the rafters come down to the corner, and it's only about 20 square feet, if that, because it's 1 foot, like 3 inches at the farthest, and then it comes away from the property line.
How did
You
this
see
come
on
up-
that other picture, the one where the layout is. Yeah, that, you can see how the building comes away from the property line. So,
How did this come about, like going in for a permit after the fact?
what was that again?
How did this come about?
They were doing a tax assessment, so they doubled my taxes, said I had a second story on my house, which is a single-family dwelling. They said they didn't come up my driveway because I have posted signs, said I did an aerial. They seen dormers on my roof, said I had a second story. My wife gets into an argument with somebody, and then they start sending people out, and they said, oh, you got a lean-to on your building, and it goes from there. So I don't have a second story on my house. But they had to reassess my house after that because it's the same square footage as when it was built.
Gotcha, thank you. Any other questions? Seeing none? All right, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Is there anyone else present that would like to speak in favor of this application? Is there anyone online?
If there's anyone joining us online that would like to speak in favor of this application, please indicate by raising electronic hand or pressing *3 if you're joining us by phone. No hands raised online.
Thank you. Is there anyone present that would like to speak in opposition of this application? Anyone online?
For those joining us online, if you would like to speak in opposition to application A2512, please indicate by pressing *3 on your phone. Still no hands raised online.
Thank you. Then we'll close the public hearing for application A2512.
Okay, next up we have application A-25-13 for Jeffrey and Jamie Van Horn. Present zoning district is AC. The proposed variance is a variance request from the required front setback of 20 feet to allow for the construction of an addition and an accessory dwelling unit. Present use is residential, proposed the same with an addition and an accessory dwelling. Levy Court District 4th for Mr. Scott, located on the southwest intersection of Birdie Lane and Nicholas Lane, north of Magnolia. You will see here that the applicants are proposing a 20 by 40 two-story addition, so that would be a total square footage of approximately 1,200 square feet. That includes an 800 square foot ADU to be 10.9 feet from the front property line of Nicholas Lane. This property does sit on the corner of West Birdie and Nicholas Lane. Here is looking down West Birdie, the intersection of West Birdie and Nicholas, down Nicholas. This is looking at the area of where the addition and accessory dwelling is going. The rear and the side of the home where the addition would be going. Looking back towards the intersection of West Birdie and Nicholas. And the aerial. So, sir, if you would like to come forward, state your name and address, and allow our attorney to swear you in.
Good evening. My name is Jeff Van Horn. My address is 1284 West Birdie Lane, Magnolia, Delaware 19962.
Mr. Van Horn, do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give in this proceeding will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do. All right, I'll just start. I appreciate everyone's time tonight. I am a civil engineer by trade, but in no way work in the land use department. So I do have some letters of support from neighbors and other Kent County residents that I can give to the board if anybody would like those. So I have those signed. Just kind of going through the topics that you touched on. It seems like if the variance was granted, it would fall kind of, currently in line with the zoning and the allowances if the board were to pass it, and then, just kind of getting into some of the staff responses that I can appreciate. I've worked in the development coordination department in the state, so I understand more than most how most of these things work out, and there has to be some no's and things in that. Just a little background, this is an accessory dwelling unit by the counties. For me, it's an in-law suite. My goal is to move my in-laws in, who also live in Kent County, into the accessory dwelling unit in the first floor, and then the second floor would be, like a bonus room. I have 2 children. So that's kind of just a little bit of the background on it. I know originally, I think there were setbacks of 25 feet, and the land use agency just recently reduced that to 20 feet, so I appreciate that. So I think we're all in the same boat there. One of the concerns was the surrounding area is primarily residential, and this would not fit in the character of the neighborhood. Ideally, I totally understand that. Most of the houses, like if I were one house in, would have 5-foot yard setbacks, and I could do this. So as far as fitting in the character, I mean, compared to the golf course, I totally understand, but there's no current access along Nicholas Drive until you get further around the corner, so this would be just a single, a little bit closer to kind of a residential service road. Right now, it's not even owned and maintained by the department, but that is on our list of things to do. So I think if done correctly, like I hope to, that it would not stand out opposed from any other house that was further in that had a 5-foot yard setback that they could build to that house. So that's sort of my goal on that side. As far as the reduction of the 20-foot setback and the ADU on the property line affecting the neighborhood properties, the land use agency feels a safe distance to the roadway in the case of an accident. So that's something, I am a professional engineer for the Department of Transportation. I sit on the guardrail committee for that. I oversee the traffic operations section. So I can speak very clearly to kind of that realm of what will be required for a 25-mile-an-hour road. So I brought my manual that I can show copies of. So like ideally for the department, we would look for a 7-foot, what we call a clear zone from the edge of the travel lane. So the road out there currently is about 32 feet wide. So you could park, there's no parking on the side street. So you could park on the side street. Ideally, looking at it just from the aerial, is well over 14 feet, would accommodate speeds much higher. So as far as the county's concerned, like I can alleviate some concerns on the crash factor. There would be a recoverable slope, everything's flat out there, it's rolled curb. So as far as like the department and some of the guidelines we use for roadside design, it would be more than adequate. We'd have plenty of room outside of that area for a car that was a roadway departure crash or anything of that nature. I do understand it, of course, that it is closer to the road and is more of a crash hazard than it is now. So I can appreciate that response. And then kind of in the grand scheme of, exceptional, what's the word I'm looking for? Hardship. So this addition, obviously through the pictures on the house, like you can see, I've made financial upgrades to the back of my house. Like ideally, if I didn't just redo my deck that I permitted through the county, I did some hardscaping there. The other options of building in other places in my house may be more feasible, right? So from a hardship from the county's perspective, I can completely appreciate that there is other places on the property to build. If you look at the aerial, I do have a 35-foot setback in the rear of the property. So that was for the old existing golf course, and you can see the pathway that's back there now. My fence is pretty much like 15 feet in, so I actually own 15 feet kind of like behind that the 55-plus community behind me uses that shared use path, and it's a general area for them to work in. So with that 35-foot setback, the detached accessory dwelling would need to be kind of like right in the middle of my backyard. As I said, I have 2 kids. I like to use my backyard. I have a play set. I have a tree back there. I have a shed that's nice. So ideally and selfishly, right, this is shown in the most cost-effective manner for me. This was not my original intent. I was obviously improve the back with a fire pit and a deck. My daughter was diagnosed with cancer about 2 years ago. So when we started, like the deck was just a nice recreational area for her to kind of get out in the sun while we're in treatment and things like that. And then as her prognosis kind of went on, her treatment went on, my mother-in-law retired from her job. So she also, like I said, works in the county. She retired, and spent a lot of time kind of like helping me and my wife with my daughter. So the kind of the least I can do now, they're kind of into a financial hardship with the turn down of the market and things like that. So their house is currently for sale. They're just kind of in a place where they need to move out. I have, like I said, 2 children in my house. So when we talk about hardships, right, it's very different for me, right? This is a cost-effective manner to do whatever I can for my in-laws because they've done a lot for me to get this built. So when I think of a hardship, right, like this is the cheapest way I can get it done. I work for the state. My wife works for the state. My mother-in-law doesn't work. She's back kind of part-time now. They still watch my child 3 days a week. So there's a lot going on there, and I got to try to get moving with something. This was my attempt to get done what I think would be the easiest for me. I understand completely that it's within the setback limits. I think it is a safe alternative from a roadside. Once the department takes over the ownership of the roadways, the first thing I'll do is go to my counterpart in traffic engineering, get a 4-way stop analysis done for Nicholas and Birdie Lane. If you're familiar with the area, with a wide straight road like that, traffic goes very fast. My front yard is the bus stop. So anything I can kind of accommodate, if there's on-street parking, things like that tend to curb and lower speeds for areas just from a departmental standpoint. Like if we were to do anything out here, we would make the road more compact. We would, put pavement markings and things like that to try and reduce the speeds on the roadway. So anything we can do on that side. Sight distances and things like that. I didn't get a chance to pull sight distance triangles and things, but there's more than enough room there with the speed limits and the average daily traffic that's in there from a traffic and department standpoint. I can speak confidently to those things to try to alleviate the county's worries on safety related to moving into this area and things like that. But that's if there's any questions, I'll be happy to answer it, but that's kind of my spiel, and I don't want to take up too much of everybody's time.
Thank you. Any questions?
Mr.
Yeah.
Can you talk about the dimensions of the proposed structure and why you need 20 feet? And I'm not judging you. I think for the record, tell us why you need 20 by 40. Could you do with smaller? Could you actually fit the unit within your available building envelope? And if not, why not?
I mean, physically speaking, right, I could build a skinny, long addition or accessory dwelling. Like, obviously, my goal here with this size was to accommodate a stairwell. So where I'm showing it on kind of like the middle of the side of my house, on the one picture you can see there's a window there. So ideally I would cut that into a door. You'd have a landing, you'd have a full staircase up to the second floor. That staircase with, essentially the angles needed and things like that, and a landing at the top needs to be a certain length. 20 feet is also a nice square rectangle. Lumber comes in those prices, right? So those things, as I'm starting to look at it from like an engineering and cost perspective, right, I try and make things even. Squares are easier to build, rectangles are easier to build in those things. So ideally, it's that width to accommodate 2 landings and the stairwell in between. Roughly, it's probably a little bit wider than it needs to be, but it would still encroach within the setback regardless. So, I mean, there may be some mechanics that we would do that, but this was the most cost efficient to build, like that, accommodates the stairwell, and then also minimizes the encroachment that I would need for now. This would be the maximum encroachment that I would need. I wouldn't need to come back and say like, oh, we didn't do the math right on that. So from a bird's eye perspective, 10,000 square feet before I get into it, that was the reasoning behind the width. And then the length, obviously, like I didn't, selfishly again, I didn't want to block my view from my brand new deck and everything like that. So there's a nice view outside the golf course as you saw before. So I like to keep my eye on everything kind of going on there.
So did you mention what the width is then to the setback that would be permissible? Is that more than 10 feet that you'd have?
I don't know the answer off the top of my head. Originally, I was basing all my calculations on the 25-foot setback. So if you see, that's the sort of dashed line right there was the original one. So, I mean, it would be, I mean, just vaguely looking at it, like 7 to 8 feet probably to the old 25. So maybe a little over 10 feet. So which wouldn't be a very feasible hallway to house my in-laws in. Yeah, I don't think they would like it, I should say. But I could determine all those things for you if the board needs it.
So this addition's just for your in-laws, or is it for additional?
It's 100% for my, there is the addition piece, so there's the in-law accessory dwelling unit on the first floor, and then the area above it. So the area above it would be a bonus room for my family, essentially. And some,
Would be what?
a bonus room, just an open room above the accessory dwelling unit. So it's a 2-story. The addition piece would be the upstairs for us. So that would connect back to the house and then provide me just a playroom, if you will, or an open room for my kids, or, you know, an entertaining space, or a place to hide from my in-laws, one or the other.
So height-wise, is the second story, what's the barren height? Is it actual, say, 20 feet, or is the barren height 10 feet and you have like a attic truss?
That's a good question. It could be whatever the county prefers it to be. Ideally, it would just be kind of in character with the house that I have now, the same relative height, with
Yeah.
an open beam structure would be the idea, like a cathedral ceiling.
Yeah, I mean, I think the county doesn't, like on code-wise for the housing, it doesn't really matter, but I just think for the board, I think that height might be a consideration, just how it affects like a 2-story structure versus a 1-story like barren height, might have an impact on the board's decision.
Sure. I honestly, I hadn't really thought about that. My whole emphasis for the addition was to not make it stand out, right? I wanted it to match my house. I wanted to reside kind of everything. And if you're driving by, just maybe, hey, that is a little closer than most houses. But like as you're driving down Birdie Lane, it wouldn't look any closer. So I wanted to try and stay within character of that. So that was kind of.
Yeah, I think a 2-story like addition, a full 2-story addition will stand out. Versus I mean, you can still have 2 stories, obviously, with the.
Yeah. Sorry.
bonus
Personally,
room
I thought
attic
like a
truss.
1-story would look weird. That's just me. I don't. It's easy to hear, I'm sure, from my perspective. But like if I had if it just stuck out and went backwards with 1 story and a pitched roof, I don't know how that would. In my head, it didn't. It seemed better with it would. It seemed better in my head that it was 2
I
stories.
mean,
But
have you got to the level of like drawings yet, or no?
I have not. I'm trying to stay as cost effective as I can. Bring this obviously with this view to the Board of Adjustment to see if it was even possible. So I have not applied for anything. I haven't gotten any architectural drawings to date. It's on my list, but I wanted to see if I don't want to go too far down, paying for a bunch of different things if the county wasn't interested in improving it. So I don't want to waste anyone's time in that sense.
On your drawings, in the back half of your house, is that your air conditioning units on the other side of your deck?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's 2 air conditioning units there, and then obviously like the updated space there. So yeah, again, when we talk to hardships, off that back corner would have been ideal had I not moved anything. But again, I'd still have to move considerable HVAC units, and I had an existing deck before I did these improvements before I knew.
Now, is the neighbor property to the left of the house, is that 5 foot? Is that correct?
That would be the required setback, would be 5 foot over there.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, if I were 1 property over, I wouldn't be here in front of everybody. I would be submitting a building permit. But like I said, I completely understand. The right of way out here from a departmental wide standpoint is 60 feet, which is very generous for a residential street. And then the setback off that is constraining. I have 5 feet on the other side. I have 25 feet or 20 feet now, sorry, in the front as well, and then 35 in the rear. So it's, when you start adding those square footages up a property, it starts limiting my options of what I can do. So I could tear out my new $30,000 deck and $7,000 in concrete, or I could try and make this option work for my family, which would be ideal. I mean, like in a perfect world, I would sell my house. I would sell my in-laws would sell their house and I would move. But I bought this house for $280,000 and my neighbor sold his house for $600,000. So it's just, I can't be in this market where we are now. I mean, it's changed considerably when I moved in here. It's one of those, like, I can't afford to sell it, and I can't afford to buy 5 acres somewhere in the woods and build what I would love to build. But I mean, so
What is the square footage of your house now?
That is a good 20. I don't know if it's on. Is it on the drawing by chance? I don't have the drawing. I don't think it is. I want to say it's 2,400. Sorry, I don't have that in front of me.
I just wanted a rough approximation.
Yeah.
I can get that for you in just a moment.
While we're waiting for that, so the end between the deck and the end of the house, that is an egress window, correct? You have a basement?
Correct. Yeah, on the right side is an egress window for the basement. Yep. And that's kind of why the deck has a bump out for the grills. It's far enough away from that I can still get out of my basement. And obviously, like with the in-laws aging, the first floor was pretty important. I could, if they sell their house tomorrow, they'll be in the second floor. My father-in-law's got some back issues, so ideally this would be like an accommodation for them to be on a single floor living.
Do you find many golf balls in your backyard?
I do find one or two. Probably
it's
some
not-
golfers like myself.
It's not so many that your children aren't.
No, it's one. Usually I hit them with a lawnmower. But yeah, you got to be pretty bad to get it in my yard or hit the road. You know what I mean? I'm not saying it's not done, but they're few and far between. Plus, the 55-plus community is pretty good about scouting them out in between. But if that means the neighborhood behind me is a 55-plus, it's there's no real cut-through traffic from there. Anybody that was coming from the other side of Birdie Lane, if they came in through the Champions Club, they typically would go back out. So it's really. It becomes a residential street, but the way it's kind of laid out right now is becomes a little higher speed. Just a concern from the neighborhood. Obviously, they put speed tables on Ponderosa, so the speed in the area in general is a issue.
Did you build the fence in the, go ahead, sorry.
It's okay. According to our property records, they have 2,300 square feet.
It's close. Price is right. I was over.
So 1,200 square feet, that's total of both floors? Or no, that's the 20 by 40 addition.
Yeah,
No.
I think the whole.
No, it's
Yeah.
both stories.
Yes.
Yep.
Right. 24. Yeah. It's 1,200 plus it's 2,000, right? Yeah.
No, I mean, the footprint's 800 square feet.
Right.
You're asking for, it says 1,200 square feet total, which might make sense if it's just a bonus room with if it's two-story, full two-story, it'll be 1,600 square feet.
I didn't make that comment. I think that was a planning.
Yeah, there's a note on the
Planning
plan
commission.
that says
Right.
proposed two-story addition, 1,200 square feet, GFA, 800 square foot footprint. That's what's typed right there on the document that was submitted to our office.
Oh, gotcha, all right. The fence structure on that corner there, is that Was that part of the community, or is that something you
No, that was there before the house was, so I don't know if it's
Probably
the
like a
original
model.
builder, Bertie Lane.
like a model home maybe or something like that?
Yeah, so and actually, I was looking through the Google Earth, and it never had anything on it, so, but it's there in my front yard. For better or worse.
If some of the space were unfinished, would that not count as gross floor area? Why is the GFA 1,200?
I'm not sure why the GFA is 1,200. Maybe that could have been a typo on whoever did the survey. So, sir, if you want to confirm, if it's a 2-story, it would most likely be 1,600 square feet.
Yes, it should be 1,600 square
Okay,
feet. Yes.
that's fine.
I don't know. I was like, I'm looking at that. I'm like, I don't know why it's the proposal. And again, I mean, the biggest part for the Board of Adjustment, right, would be the encroachment on the setback. And then as we go through the planning process, we could fine tune whatever that.
I have a question. Can we go back to the aerial shot of his backyard? Do you see that line that goes through your property? Is that like a drainage ditch type thing? Like, so if you were to build on that, would that be problematic? Like, it kind of looks like it's kind of like a runoff to that pond that's in the 55 older community.
Yeah, it's like a natural. I mean, it's not like an actual swale that's kind of in there. It's just more of a natural swale. Since my neighbor's house he's got the bump out on his that comes with probably 5 feet, and then it's kind of like his property just drains kind of right through mine. So I would have to probably look at that if I went and built something in there, and have to make sure that water didn't run then into my crawl space.
We are looking at LiDAR, and it's not showing as a ditch or even a low spot.
I don't think officially it is. It is a weird. And again, that's I've done some more hardscaping in that area. But the grass is greener on that strip, and I don't know why. Other than it drains out of there a little bit.
So this aerial's old, right?
Yes. This
So
area-
on the left-hand side, you did that hardscape in there?
Yes, I built a sidewalk that connects to my driveway in the front, houses my garbage cans, sort of where they are now, but on a concrete pad, and then the fire pit circles around like it does on the drawing. I don't know. Yeah, these have some pictures of it there a little bit. When the deck was permitted, it pained Jesse with about 100 questions on that, I think. And on this as well, so I do appreciate your time, Jesse.
We're taking down that tree, right?
Yes, or it's going to take itself down here shortly. So yeah, it's on my list of things to do. It's got some type of disease to it. I'm on a bus stop, so.
I do have a question for you.
Yes.
Are any of those letters that you submitted that were in support of, were they any of your next door neighbors or across the road or next door?
Yes, Jason Greer. Yeah, he's a direct neighbor right there. The other neighbor said, I thought one sent one in, and then they told me they were in support of it, and then a few questions are answered from the. I guess at one point, I don't know if Jonathan's was entertaining. You can see how it's parceled out. Like at one point, they were talking about, I think, apartments in there. So once they saw the sign go up in my front yard, they were freaked out neighbors on that sense. So once I kind of explained what we were doing, no one seemed against it. No one's here, so I got that going for me.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions? I think we're good. Thank you.
Good. Thank you. Appreciate everyone's time.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak in favor of this application, either online or in the room?
If there's anyone joining us online that would like to speak in favor of this application, please indicate by pressing *3 on your phone. No hands raised online.
Thank you. Is there anyone in the room or on the phone that would like to speak in opposition of this application?
Similarly, if you're online, press *3 if you would like to speak in opposition of this application. Still no hands raised online.
Thank you. Seeing no one, we will close the public hearing for application A-25-13 for the Van Horns.
All right, thank you. We'll take a 5-minute break. All right, I think everyone's back. Want to call roll, please?
Yes, sir. Mr. Jones?
Here.
Mr. Gallo?
Here.
Mr. Carter?
Here.
Mrs. Hudson?
Here.
Mr. Cusick?
Here.
That's 5 present.
Thank you. We need approval for the business meeting minutes from March 20th, 2025.
I make a motion, we approve the minutes as presented.
Second.
Got a motion, a second, all in favor?
I.
Approval of the notice of decisions from the March 20th, 2025 meeting? Sorry, the guy that usually has them written down is not here.
It's going to be applications A-24-15, A-2505, A-2509, and A-2511.
Thank you.
All right, I make a motion that we approve the notice of decisions for A-2505, A-2415, A-2509, and A-2511.
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Old business.
Okay, so we have an old business coming before you. They are seeking for Mr. Victor Glazoff, he is seeking a 1-year extension on the variance that you guys granted 1 year ago for a 10-foot front setback. They are seeking to pull the permit this year for that single-family dwelling. They submitted a letter stating that due to interest rates and different financial reasons, they were not able to do that within the last year, but they do foresee moving forward with that in the 25-26 year.
I make a motion for A-2414 for a motion to extend, oh, I'm sorry, 2415. A motion to extend their variance for 1 year.
Second.
Do we want to vote or just? Oh. Okay. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
And sorry, just to clarify, that's,
Yeah, what is it, 82415 or 82414? Yeah.
okay, it's 14. I'm sorry, our thing's wrong.
With that 824-14, application is granted an additional 1 year. New business.
All right, so our first item for new business is a 2512 for Nicholas seeking a variance from the requirement that an accessory structure should be located 5 feet from the side property line to legalize an existing accessory structure that is 3 feet 9 inches.
Thank you. Any discussion or motion?
I'll talk about it. I believe that this one was probably made in good-hearted faith of a mistake. Everybody knows when you're out in the woods with your property lines, it could give or take a foot and two. I don't believe this was intentional to encroach on anyone. I believe maybe this was just a mix-up, and I don't really see too much of a problem with the 1.2 encroachment. How's everybody feel on that one?
Yeah, I'm in agreement there. I know he's sort of a self-hardship here, but I think just the other three criteria is about not affecting the neighboring properties at all. Obviously fits within the area, and just not going to have any impact on the surroundings here. And I think the hardship, unfortunately, a little late now, but it is going to be a financial hardship on the applicant at this point. I mean, I think it's a judgment call.
I do think it could be corrected relatively easily. I mean, it would take less work to correct it than it did to build it. By removing one of a section, he said it was about 20 square feet. By the same token, as you said, it is a small area that we're dealing with.
But I mean, it is easy to just say to take off that, but you also have to, like he said, as the applicant stated, that the inside is all open too, so obviously he's going to have to repair all that as well.
Again, we're only talking about Well, I'll make a motion for A-2512. I make a motion that we approve the variance for the 1.25 foot. Based off the public testimony that we heard tonight, I believe removing the restriction would not seriously impact neighboring properties, nor would it change the character or the use of the surrounding area. And I do believe there is a financial hardship if we don't remove the restriction on the homeowner to have to remove the building back by 1 foot.
Second.
Motion and second.
Mr. Jones?
I will vote in favor of and in support of application A-25-12. Based on the testimony given tonight, I feel that there would be a financial hardship, even though this is a self-imposed financial hardship. He did state, the property owner did state that the interior wall had been removed, so that's all open, so that I support the application.
Thank you. Mr. Gallo?
I vote in favor of the motion. I do believe that a failure to grant the variance would create an exceptional practical difficulty for the applicant. It is a minimal amount of area that we're discussing.
Thank you. Mr. Carter?
I vote in favor of the motion based on the testimony and board discussion, and I see no harm to the adjoining property.
Thank you. Ms. Hudson?
I vote in favor per my motion.
Thank you. And Mr. Cusick?
I vote in favor of the motion, as stated by all the members here. Just no impact on the neighboring property at all here, and fits within the surrounding area, and then hardship that this will cause on the applicant.
Thank you. That is 5 in favor.
Thank you. With 5 in favor, application A-25-12 is approved.
Our next application is A-2513, Van Horn, seeking a variance from the required front setback of 20 feet to allow for the construction of an addition and an accessory dwelling unit. They are looking to be 10.9 feet from the property line.
Thank you. Discussion or motion?
Well, we always have problems with corner lots. Yeah. It's not very common knowledge that corner lots have 2. At least I didn't know that when I bought one either, so learned something new.
I'm looking at the total increase in area is like 69% of the house that's there now. And I think such a large addition does change the character of the area. While it's noble what he's trying to attempt to do here, I'm not questioning that. I do think it will have an effect on the neighbors, despite the letters of support that he did receive.
But he could, this is a question for staff, he could build, if his deck wasn't there and his air conditioning and all that stuff, it could go on the other side, right? It's just the front lot is the only reason why he's being denied, right?
Right, because it doesn't meet the front setback of 20 feet from Nicholas.
So if he was set into another house next to it, he could do it. Like if it was a middle lot, had a house on the side of him instead of a corner lot, he could do it, right?
If it was the same setup here and, yeah, Nicholas Lane wasn't there, then yes, they would be able to put the addition.
That's what I go back to, where it's like, if it was one lot over, he could do it. It's just this corner lot with the 75-foot setback on 2 sides, right? Or 25?
20-foot front setback.
I'm sorry, 20-foot
okay.
setback is what's messing it up.
Yeah, I mean, this is a tough one. I think at first, my first glance was like, looking at the aerials and stuff like that, obviously it was an older deck there before, but I think with the improvements that he's made, having him rip that down will be a pretty big burden.
And I believe he did make public testimony that his daughter is sick, so she uses the deck. So that's the thing.
Yeah, I mean, I think that hardship is there based on what he needs for his family. build that.
And you think about a 10-foot room. If you put a bed in that, you can barely get around that. If they were aging with a wheelchair, that's the things I would have about a 10-foot room.
But I do feel Mr. Gallo's point too. I feel like this house will look massive in the community with this addition.
Let's talk about that. So what's everybody's hesitant on that? Would it be just the height of the building? Like if it were just a one-story addition, would that still feel atrocious?
I think it would aesthetically be better, but it's hard to tell without seeing what it would look like.
Oh, but
I
yeah,
don't have
correct.
I don't
Yeah.
have a picture. I don't know how the roof line's going to run.
Yeah.
Um,
Agree.
I think it's going to stick out a lot. It's a large addition. So, like you were saying, well, if it was on another lot, you'd be able to do it because you'd be within the lot. That's true, but it also would be contained within it. It's not contained within that footprint of the building. It's sticking out so far. It's going to look different, and it's going to be noticeable, in my opinion. It's a large addition, and a lot of it is. It's not a large addition, and it's 3 feet over the line. It's a large addition, and almost half the setback is being taken up.
Can you scroll to the aerial of just the community there?
The house next to it seems to be bigger than his house, so it almost would be kind of in par with it
Right. It has that addition
off the back.
and off to the side as well.
Yeah, and off to the side there, I didn't see that one.
But that's only a 5-foot setback, right? That side setback to that yard, so, yeah. Can you go back to the overall? No, just the aerial, yeah. Yeah, there you go. Can I get magnifying glass? I'm just kidding. And that's
Yeah, if you look like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 down, that blue one, that looks like a mega mansion. So it kind of looks like it would be in the normal, he just happens to be on a corner lot. That's the corner lots. Anybody else have anything else to say? I'll make a motion for A2513. I vote to approve based off the public testimony that we heard tonight. I believe there is an exceptional practical difficulty with a corner lot having 2 front setbacks, and then you have the 35-foot golf course easement in the back of his property. And I believe removing these restrictions would not seriously affect neighboring properties, as we saw on the map that the houses are in character of the surrounding area. And I believe there is a financial hardship on the family with having a sick child going through the chemo, losing, I believe the sunlight's pretty good for natural immunity and fighting off stuff. So I believe there would be a hardship for the sick child to lose the deck to try and help the grandparents out. So I believe there is a financial hardship there. And I believe removing the restriction would not seriously affect neighboring properties.
I'll second.
motion and a second.
Thank you. Mr. Carter?
I'll vote in favor of the motion based on the discussion and testimony tonight and the support of the neighbors.
Thank you. Mr. Gallo?
I'm going to vote against the motion. I don't believe the failure to grant the variance creates an exceptional practical difficulty. The nature of the property and the extent of the variance, I think, will change the character of that neighborhood.
Thank you. Mr. Jones?
I'm going to vote in support of application A-25-13, vote in favor of the motion made by Mrs. Hudson. I do feel that, given the property is on a corner, that given the setbacks, he's facing two different setbacks on the actual front, and then the side yard actually is being forced into that same setback requirement. I believe that if he was to have to move that to the rear of the house, that could really adversely affect the neighboring property being able to have view of the golf course. So based on the testimony tonight and based on the information provided by Ms. Hudson in her motion, I vote in support of it.
Thank you. Ms. Hudson?
I vote in favor of my motion.
Thank you. Mr. Cusick?
I vote in favor of the motion. I think just looking at this area, there's some I think there are some rather large houses, more than I thought there were back in that community. I think per his testimony, the safety issue, he sort of talked on that, alleviated our concerns, my concern there. And then the hardship there, the economic hardship, and plus the hardship for his family with his daughter and in-laws moving in to help out.
Thank you. That's 4 in favor, 1 opposed.
With 4 in favor, application A-25-13 is approved.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.